I'm going to recognize myself for another 5 minutes. So, Mr. Widener, you've had some dialogue back and forth with the VA, is that correct?
Chairman Lynch, that's correct.
Yeah. It would seem to me that, may I ask, is there a roster that we have now of service members that have, that served at K2?
Sir, to my knowledge, there is no overall roster, and that would be a problematic thing for the Department of Defense to even source.
Yeah.
A large number of the initial forces that flowed into Karshi-Khanabad were special operations forces that were, belonged to U.S. Special Operations Command.
A lot of that stuff is,
Well, and with the 10th Mountain Division and the initial conventional forces that rolled in, Chairman Lynch, all of those people rolled in and then departed K2 well before there was any type of Army personnel support that was available at K2 to document and track their comings and goings. And then you have the large number of transient air crews and folks that were just transiting in and out of the theater and in and out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I have a case, Chairman Lynch, of a young lady just retired from the Air Force. She's out in Colorado Springs. She deployed through K2 back and forth over several years for an aggregate total of less than 3 weeks on the ground. She contacted me last month. She has been diagnosed with 2 different set types of cancer. She has a gynecological cancer that is metastatic. She also has a primary tumor cancer of a different etiology in her upper body, which is also metastatic. And her doctors were faced with trying to identify which cancer to go after first. She's a young woman. She has kids. Her husband's in the Army, and they just don't know what they're going to do. She's not service-connected because it happened after her service.
Yeah, let me ask, so normally in tracking the service or the deployments of individual service members, we can look at the DD-214. It'll say where they were deployed to, if they were actually stationed there. But in her case, if she was flying in and out, it may not show up. Is that correct?
Chairman Lynch, my understanding is that the Department of Defense does capture that data in some format. However, on my DD Form 214, sir, I've been to over 100 countries. I've been deploying real world from the Iran-Iraq War to until 2006. On my DD Form 214, I have not one single deployment listed.
Wow. Because I'm trying to connect the dots here in terms of building up a roster, either going to the VA with that roster and saying, okay, we have these individuals who are on the ground at K2 at some point in their deployment. At first blush, I don't even need to know who they are, right? I want the medical records of this roster of people. You can redact them. Don't even tell me which record belongs to which individual. But if I could get the evidence that, there are cancers present and other illnesses present from this group, you could sort of build a case without needing the identities of the individuals, because there's some privacy issues there with the VA they won't share with Congress or others. But, there's got to be a way to compile the evidence here to get to a point where we prove the case and they accede to it. That would have to be the process here. I think we need to compel them.
And Chairman Lynch, if I might, sir, I was a theater special operations mission planner for a good number of years. My expertise and knowledge on this field, that probably the very best source of information that could be available would be detailed records and personnel status reports as part of situational reports that were made on a daily basis to U.S. Central Command.
Right.
All of the special operations forces that flowed in and out of the theater, there should be detailed records through PERSTATs and daily situational reports through U.S. Special Operations Command Central, and also the Special Operations Command in Stuttgart, Germany. SOC.
Oh, we intend to do a full spectrum investigation, including, going into Uzbekistan. K2 is not an easy place to get to, but we can do it, of course. And just try to use every source of information to figure out what's the status right now on the ground at K2. I understand that base is not being actively used, at least not that part of the base is not being used anymore. But, trying to, do a little forensic investigation with respect to what is actually in the soil there at K2. I'm sure the Uzbek government would not be happy about that, but I think there's probably pressure that we can apply.